Good morning, everyone. Here is again my BBTV live shows, and today we have the honor and the chance to be down under in Australia, in the Sydney suburbs, with our famous and well-known savvy navigator, Lance Scoular. Did I pronounce correctly your name, Lance?
You did. Thank you. Hi ho.
Yeah. So Lance, thank you for taking time to have an impromptu conversation with us today. So I intended to introduce you to the Facebook audience and my BBTV audience on bb.com, the Affinity Network platform. Yourself, you know what you're doing down under here in Australia. I know that you're also a brand ambassador with bb.com, the Affinity Networking platform. And
Yeah,
you have a
few... my BB mug.
Oh yeah, Javier is going to be happy about that. Product placement.
That's it.
Okay, Javier, don't worry, I'm going to bill you. If we have people online that would like to ask some questions, no problem about that. So Lance, actually, as many of us in the digital space, you're a digital entrepreneur, but more than this, yeah, you're actually, if my records are correct, you are a import-export international trade expert, right? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I spent 40 years in international trade and transport, not as an importer and exporter myself, but as a customs broker, a licensed customs broker here in Australia for 40 years. I've relinquished that license now. As my years have progressed, I'm not active in that role anymore, but I spent a lot of time working for a number of companies in international trade, and then start up my own business as a customs broker and freight forwarder, and then back in 97, I started doing courses, 2-day courses on importing and exporting. The things you need to know about importing and exporting if you're going to be an importer and exporter. Now you might say, well, why, if you're not an importer or exporter yourself, what do you have to offer? Well, the thing is, a lot of importers and exporters don't know all the ins and outs of getting the goods from one country to another, whether it's from Canada, where you are, to Australia, or vice versa, or to any other country in the world. There's lots of challenges in trading internationally. And so my expertise as a customs broker and a freight forwarder was having experienced many of my clients having those difficulties and problems and having to solve them for them. I became an expert in what needs to happen. So the things you need to know and the things you need to avoid, the good, the bad, and the ugly, I suppose it is. So that's been my my trade for over 40 years.
For 4 years, and I think you're also consulting with Australian government agencies. I think the Board of Trade or the Ministry of Commerce.
Yes. My last employment was I was actually employed by the New South Wales Business Chamber, but I was contracted to Austrade, the Australian Trade Corporation,
yes,
which is a government agency under the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Austrade is an organisation that helps Australian businesses to export their goods to around the world. So I was employed as a Trade Start export advisor in Western Sydney, helping businesses that might have export potential to identify those people and then suggest that if they wanted to do that, I could give them some aid, government aid, not in money terms, but in free services up to a certain threshold.
Okay, no problem. And I believe so. You're also a humanist, right? Because I think sometimes you're involved with the famous non-profit organization called Are You Okay? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm not actually a member of that, but in the last few years, I've promoted we in Australia, I'm not sure, I think it's the second Thursday of September, is Are You OK Day in Australia. And Are You OK is a question. So the idea is that a lot of people suffer from depression, and often
Yes.
depression, people in depressed state consider suicide. I've been in that situation myself, and it's
Okay.
not a good
I
place to
understand.
be.
No.
So, yeah, and I've experienced close to home people and young kids that have actually taken their own lives, and it's very, very painful for those left. So I've been very involved in promoting that concept over the last few years.
Right.
When
And
I mean, what's the concept? The concept is for people to ask people, are you okay? And mean it, because even that question can actually help people to put down their barriers a bit and say, well, I'm not really okay. And if that's the case, there's the Are You OK organisation has sort of steps to help people to help others that might be in a depressed state.
Yeah, yeah, because I think we were, discussing, you and I, on my on bb.com, through comments in some blog posts that you have edited and published over there,
That's
about,
right.
anything can happen to anybody during his life span, and it's all about, not being kept aside by social pressure or cultures, or any kind of limitation, and to understand that, the famous question, are you okay, are, and then you and space okay, is all about making people in suffering, because that's a suffering, right?
Exactly.
State of mind, yeah, and that's terrible. um, they they have value to the community and value to each other's, starting by us. Earth is a small village. Australia is a small island, but not that small. But I
It's a
think,
big island, actually.
yeah, it's the biggest island in the world, actually, if people, think twice.
There it is behind me there.
Yeah, yeah, and I think, yeah, Earth is a little village, as we can see. We have maybe that's like maybe 10 or 7 or 8. I haven't I lost the count of it, that are interacting and commenting, actually, because you and I go live on my BBTV on Facebook Live, and it's very interactive. That means if people were suffering that, they could join the conversation, because it's all about
Sure.
not leaving people alone. We're not leaving people alone in their corner with their issues. Where sometimes it's as simple as a mental health issue, but the mental health issue has some roots, and we should work on that. I think that's probably the main goal and purpose of Are You OK organization,
Yeah.
about resources. That it's I think the post you have blogged on BB goes way beyond that, because what you were stating in this blog post was about changing the conversation, changing our way to react, not leaving people that are not that much okay, about including them in a conversation, and from the conversation into some workflows of activities that in fact value the individual, and that's dependless from the fact that you are into social trouble, economic disruption, and you have economical issues and so on. But if you perceive better yourself into an involved activity within a community that values your being, yourself, you start to have less gray and dark ideas about yourself, your future, your situation, and so on. And I do think if we have a collective mindset, especially digital entrepreneurs, because we reach through affinity propagation, through friendships, through contacts. If we could involve and value every one of us. Well, we're not going to eradicate mental issues and suicidal thoughts, and sometimes the worst can happen, but at least we would have to do something for ourselves and for people out there in suffering. And I think that's a good thing to do. You know, we are always thinking about what do we leave behind ourselves for legacy. I would like to be remembered mainly because, you know, Stephen, well, now he's no longer existing, but he helped so much people just by considering them, giving them a window of opportunity. I want to activate my network. I want to show them that things are not that bad. It's change shoes, and then your feet won't hurt. Change your scope. Even if you're feeling bad, and then, you know, take some medication, go to see some specialist. Don't stay alone on your side having dark thoughts, but come with people, and then bit by bit, step by step, you start to love yourself and life again, and the life in and within the community. And
that's right.
I would say, well, if you want to the governments, if you want to have tax payers, okay, take care of them. But I think most of governments, they fail to do so. They say, oh, we just have a psychiatric department at the hospital, go to the ER room. But when you reach the ER room, it's too late because you have cut your veins or you hang yourself or whatsoever. That's over. You know, game is over. We all know that life is a game that you are not at the end the winner. You lose the game. But it's okay. It's all also about having that kind of a Buddhist vision of life, that it's not an end, and you do something interesting that you learn while you're living, and then after you have the opportunity, if you believe in rebirth, you have the opportunity to redo that again. You know, I think RUOK is a fantastic organization. I know that the famous actor Hugh Jackman, Australian actor, is involved in that, and he's done a lot of freebies and free time and involvement, you know, about that, interviews, and he promotes that. And I think that gives a great idea about who is Hugh Jackman's persona brand, you know. So that allows me to jump to the next subject. Is about I know that in addition of being an international trade specialist, import export, and I think you have an ongoing project about teaching online, some courses about that, and it's almost ready with your team of webmasters. So probably we'll do another interview about that specific topic about, you know, imports, export, and international trade online courses. And you're bringing some value to the community because you are introducing a concept in terms of payment online. Is you pay what you want, right?
Yeah, it's not my idea. It's there's plenty of people doing this thing and have been. I came across the concept by a chap named Tom Morks a few years ago, and he's written a book and some videos and things like that, and he's done a bit of research. Also, I just listened to the audio book. It's free by what's his name, Anderson. He originally did the book The Long Tail.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's that book was talking about how free was probably the way to go in this age, and it's quite involved what he talks about. Anyway, coming back to my proposition is that I get people often saying to me, "Oh, can you teach me this stuff?" But I can't afford it, and so the idea of the courses I'm going to be doing is basically video based at this stage, and it's going to be basically provided on BB itself. I'm going to use the Hive Import Export Made Easy Hive on BB, and I'll host and I'll host the videos on YouTube, but they'll be viewable on BB, and there the course will be modularized through that. And I'm going to have the concept of pay what you want, as you indicated, and the idea of that, I can actually say, well, if you can't afford it, you can watch the course and you can pay for it later when you can. Or if you don't think you want to pay for it, you can promote it through Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever. So people can pay in different ways. I'm not going to restrict it to people, but for people that can afford it and they get value out of it, I'm going to suggest, well, you know, you can pay as you go through it, or at the end, if you've got value, then pay what you like. I'm going to frame it in a way that it's out of my 40 years plus of experience in international trade, and the training that I did for many years in Sydney. I trained since 1997 in a number of community colleges. It was a 2-day course on Saturdays. So it was about 16 hours of training. And I actually, with one college, Sydney Community College, I did an online webinar back in 2008. So I got into delivering online at that stage. But this concept, I'm going to frame it and say, well, I've put a lot of work into this. You're gaining from my experience. Yes, you can get this information free if you search around, but it'll take you ages to try and put it together. I actually had a lady at one of my courses a number of years ago now. She said, her name was Susan from memory, and she said, I found a lot of this stuff online by Googling it, but she said I couldn't put it together. So I actually talk about that in my courses, which I don't do face-to-face anymore. Of course, everyone's going online, so the face-to-face courses dropped, and that's happening to face-to-face courses these days. People are going online because it's convenient, and they can do it on their phone or whatever. But what she said, Susan said, look, I found this stuff, but I couldn't get it together. And so I talk about the jigsaw puzzle. So you can find bits and pieces of what is required for international trade, importing and exporting, but they're different pieces of the puzzle. It's like a jigsaw spilled on the table and trying to put it together. So my course is like the big picture on the outside of a jigsaw puzzle, and the big picture is what you finish up with is being able to import and export, but the pieces of the puzzle you have to put together in the right order. So that's what it's all about.
Okay. So will you do some videos to announce that? So probably we will see that on the discussion group on bb.com called your My BB TV. That's right. It's the digital affinity territory pendant blog post over there. So probably we will see that. And if people want to interact with you, I do believe they can join you on BB, right?
Correct. Yes.
And I think if I can check that, I think maybe your handle on BB would be the following one. I think it's the http www.bb.com, bb like with a double e.com/b/lenscooler, so straight attachment. And I think you have a group on BB where you are shooting out your live video buzz, if I recall correctly, and that's the hive or group called Backstage. Is that correct?
Yeah, Backstage is sort of behind the scenes type of information, whether it's about personal stuff, whether it's about how to do things in the background of doing videos or whatever. So I use that as a behind the scenes type of buzz, whereas my import export made easy will be basically the videos and other resources that will be on that hive.
Because I know you're a very active face-to-face networker. Actually, you take the car, you drive within Sydney, and what you do, you participate in 2 live events. I think one of your last live events that you attended that really fascinated me is the one that was with the doctor or Dr. Nguyen, I think. Was that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, I did a very quick buzz there, but that was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I loved it. When people want to reach out to you for direct message and user engagement, they can also contact you on your Twitter handle. That would be with capital letters from your first name and name. That would be twitter.com/LensScoular with a capital L, capital S. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so for the weeks coming, I think you're gonna bring up to life a few projects. I believe so. Do you want
Yeah, that's right.
you want to plan some other quick discussion interviews with some guests about those projects?
Yeah. So we've got a young lady that I've worked on a number of not-for-profit organisations with, and she's set up a little foundation or business centre in our local shopping centre here, the Rouse Hill Town Centre. There's some business in that centre, and she set up for business startups so that they can come and get information there. And actually, I did a video for them on Wednesday, and she's also building a platform where people online can find out information from people like myself and other people in different aspects of business, and
All
then
right.
they can so it's actually some software that's being developed for that purpose. So I'm involved with that, and helping also promoting that centre, because people can actually hire a room there if they want on an hourly basis. So it's going to be an interesting thing. I'll organise it with you, Stefan, to have a buzz from there live, and she can talk us through and probably have some of her colleagues there to discuss the benefits of this collaboration. It's a really great idea.
As you and I know that I'm into artificial intelligence and data analytics and tracking. Should it be Naomi Barazueta?
Well, it's not her actually that's doing it, but I'm thinking about having a meeting. The lady's name is Kerry Sheaves, and but I'm thinking of having a meeting with Naomi. With her, I'm actually having a meeting with Kerry Wednesday week. So yeah, I'm hoping that I might be able to get Naomi along to that meeting too, because we can probably talk about a number of things we can cross-pollinate with, to use a beehive term.
Yes, because actually, and that's the purpose of my BBTV. It's really a live feed of interactive and networking by affinities. I think we are now probably 20 to have interactors in that 20 minutes format. And actually, I have shown to the screen there all the handles. So if people want to interact with people that we have mentioned, that are into project, because they have affinities with them only by the semantic field of the project, or as known as the hashtag. Okay, well, people can interact together. Because that's the purpose. We are all BB's users. Part of us are brand ambassadors, so it involves a little promotional work and educational work as well.
That's right.
Tamara, the CEO of BB Platform, welcome our initiative here on my BB TV, and I think that would be next week or the next one. But in October we will have a live interview of a long 60 to 70 minutes format with 10 worldwide brand ambassadors with Javier. That would be the opportunity to have the CEO, and it's a storyteller, It's all about storytelling. It's going to tell a story about BB. And actually, where for people that were skeptical that BB is really global and worldwide, well, if you have someone in Japan, in Australia, in Dubai, in the Emirates, and then someone in Jordania, someone in UK, someone in France, someone in Puerto Rico, someone in Buenos Aires, Argentina, someone in the United States, and someone in Canada. Well, people will have the proof of the concept that it's global actually, and we bring that to the many using Facebook Live with a new format, because usually Facebook Live is one point of view. Or if you're using Periscope and you stream it on Facebook, then you have a two-way interviews. Today we didn't have the chance to have a guest, a third guest, but if we see now how it functions, the system, we can have like shared screen, and we can show full things. So people are more about, if they want to see a content, or when you're speaking, they are concentrating on your face and your content that you're speaking. And I think that's a great tool to use and to open to open the frontiers everywhere. But because now the world is mostly digital. We have still a physical world, but
that's right.
It's fantastic that at some point of the day, when it's my Thursday, that's going to be in Australia your Friday.
That's right. We're way ahead of you.
I was thinking about having Javier, the BBC host, at a specific timetable in Spain. So in Spain, we would be still Thursday, but yet you would be in Australia on your Friday. So that's, what day are we? Well, it depends. It depends who speaks.
Depends on what time of the day. Yeah.
yes, and I really encourage people to do not hesitate to visit BB to understand and discover what BB is actually. So I'm going to put the URL here for the conclusion of today's show, so people can note down bb.com/join. So that's very simple, to spell it and to have that. And I'll hope that very soon we can have you again online for some interviews. One of the great things is we can also have kind of live webinars or live discussion, like we call that impromptus. So right. Lance, I would like to thank you very much for the time you spent today. So are we still today in Australia, or are we tomorrow?
Yeah, it's Friday here.
So
Friday morning here.
We're in America, and now we're still Thursday. So yep. I now understand better why Lance Scoular is the savvy navigator navigating the future. And then the question after would be, and what about you? Because you are actually in my future, because you're tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm in your future. That's right.
so for people that were doubting that the theory of relativity from Mr. Einstein was existing, we are actually, you and I, a living proof of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Lance, enjoy your day. I'm going to finish my afternoon. We will be soon back, you and I and some other folks together online for having some thrilling discussion all together. And I'm really looking forward to that. So from the bottom of the heart, Savvy Navigator, Lance Scoular, thank you for your time today, and see you soon on my BBTV. Take care.
Godspeed. All the best.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.